If you want to make your own custom faux leather keychains, then this video is for you. Hi y'all, and welcome to Daily Dose of DIY. If you don't already know me, my name is Chris, and today I'm going to show you not only how to make faux leather keychains, but I will show you how to design your very own in Cricut Design Space so you can make whatever kind of keychain you want. They're super fun, and I'll warn you, a little addicting to make, and they make great little gifts, and it's a perfect way to use up some of your scrap heat transfer vinyl. Plus, I have some free SVG images for you to use if you want to make your very own keychains. You can also use Cricut images or come up with your own. So let's jump right on in with the supplies we're going to need to make these. Be sure to check the description for the link to where I got all my supplies. To make faux leather keychains, you're going to need some faux leather. And I prefer the smooth style faux leather for keychains because we are going to be applying heat to them. And high heat can make those marbled faux leathers kind of melt a little bit. You're also going to need some parchment paper. You're going to need a heat press. Now, the mini press will work for this, as well as a home iron, as long as you don't have steam on it. I have some keychain parts here with tassels and some fun things. And then you're going to need heat transfer vinyl. I'm using some scrap pink glitter that I have. This is a great project for your scrap vinyl. And you will also need some type of glue. I'm using Aleene's Fabric Fusion. Of course, I'm cutting this on my Cricut Maker. You can do this on your Cricut Explore, any Explore series, Maker series, or your Cricut Joy, because it just uses the regular fine point blade. Finally, for your Cricut mat, the standard grip will work for this if you're using smooth leather, as long as it's a newer mat and it still has a lot of stick to it. Otherwise, you want to grab your purple strong grip mat. Let's go into Design Space now and learn how to design our very own keychains. You will find the link to get the free SVGs in the video description or the very first pinned comment. Follow that link and then simply click Get My Free SVGs. Fill out your first name and email address and then click Send My Password, and we'll send the link and the password to the library right over to you. Once you are in the library, enter in the password. And all of our SVG files are listed in alphabetical order, and they include pictures to make it easy to find. Once you find the SVG that you're looking for, simply click Download, and the download will automatically happen. For this video, we're doing keychain icons, so go ahead and scroll down to the K's and click the download button. You are also free to use any SVG that you find in our library. Once in Design Space, upload the SVG bundle, select it, and then click Add to Canvas. After the SVGs are on the canvas, you want to come to the top of the Layers menu and click the Ungroup button. And then you can select which object you want to use to make your keychain and simply delete the rest of them. You can also do this with any SVG, or if you wish, you can go to Cricut Images if you have Cricut Access and search any of the images they have there. This will work as well to make a keychain. So we are going to start with our camper, and then next we will go ahead and do a name. To get started, you're going to select the camper and go to the offset, and we're going to add an offset to it. Now the default about a 0.25 inch is good, and I'm going to keep my corners rounded, and then we will click the apply button. Once the offset takes, you still have your original SVG, and then you have the offset here as well. You can see there's some holes and stuff in here that we don't really want to cut. This offset is actually going to be what our faux leather is cut out of. So I'm just going to go over to shapes, and we'll grab an oval, will probably be best, and see if we can cover up as many of these holes as possible with this oval. You can come to the top of the menu and click the little unlock button, and that will allow us to change the aspect ratio of the oval. So I can just drag it out, and then we'll click off of it and make sure we can't see any more of that white background. Once the holes are covered, go ahead and select both your oval and your offset, and we're going to come down to the combined menu and we're going to click Unite. And that gives us a nice offset to our camper. Let's change his color so we can see what's happening. It comes in on the front. If that happens to you, you simply go to Arrange and Send to Back. So that is something like our keychain will look, with the campers going to be cut out of HTV and this will be cut out of faux leather. Next, we need to make a copy of our offset, and you can do that on your keyboard by either hitting Control-C to copy, Control-V to paste, or with your object selected, you can come up to the top of the layers menu and just click Duplicate. Once it's duplicated, you want to go to flip, and for this one we're going to flip horizontal, so they are mirror opposites of each other. Now we need to connect these two pieces, so let's go to our shapes and we'll select a rectangle. I'll select him. I'm going to change his color again just so we can see what's going on. It does not matter what color it is. I'm going to come back to the top of this layer menu again and click the unlock button. And for our width, we want about 2 inches, and our height, we want 1/2 inch, so that's 0.5 inches. Click enter and your little rectangle will resize. And this is going to be the piece that connects our 2 camper parts. So we're going to select all 3 of them together. And if we come to the align menu, we can center them vertically so that they all line up evenly. Once they are centered, you simply select all of them again, all 3, and you go to your combine menu and you click Unite. So now this piece is going to cut out of the faux leather, and our little camper, we have to move him to the front. We are going to heat transfer vinyl to the top. So let's just select these and move these out of the way, and I'll show you how to do one with a name. It's much the same process. So I am going to go to text, and then you can just type out the name or any saying that you want to create into a keychain. And we're going to make it a little bit bigger. Keychain sizes are usually somewhere between 3 and 4 inches depending on how big you want it. And with our name selected, we can come up here to the top to the fonts and choose a font. Cricut has a whole bunch of fonts, and you can also upload your own fonts. I will link you to a video in the description if you do not know how to do that. Once you have your font chosen, I'm going to use the one called Fat Cat. You can select it so it outlines in green, and then click back on the canvas and you'll see your name in that font. So then we're going to do the same thing. We can select our name. We can go to offset. I'm going to leave it at 0.25. The corner's rounded. We want it to be welded, and click apply. I'm going to move my name off, and this time it came out pretty clean. We don't have any circles we need to get rid of, so that is good. I'm going to make a copy of this again, and I'm going to show you in case you want the keychain to go the other way. I think name keychains would work great side by side, just like we did the camper. But if you have an object you want to do up and down, or if some reason you want to do one up and down, instead of flipping horizontal, you would flip on the vertical. So you have to make sure like each of your objects are an exact mirror of each other. Then we go back to shapes, and we're going to select a rectangle. And we'll move him on down. Let's change his color. We're going to do the same thing. This time we're doing a width. So my width is going to be 0.5. And we got to hit that little unlock button so we can make our height a 2. Then you just locate, whoops, selected the wrong part. You got to get them selected right in the center again. You may have to increase the percentage on your canvas so it's easier to select. And you find the point where you want to connect them. So I'm going to have to move this up a little bit. It's fine if your rectangle overlaps on to your objects or your offsets. Usually you need at least an inch to make the keychain part, so that's why I do 2 inches just to make sure. Now where I want this isn't exact in the center, so I'm going to not select our rectangle. I'm just going to select the top offset and the bottom offset, and we're going to go to align and make sure they are centered horizontally perfect to each other. And I think that rectangle that's going to connect them is still in a good spot, so I'm going to select them both, and I'm going to go to the combine menu and I'm going to unite them. Now I'm going to cut the faux leather out of a silver, so let's change that to the same gray so our faux leather cuts together. And I'm going to cut the HTV out of a pink, so I'll make sure they're matching and they're the same color. Once you're here, you want to double check the size. Like this is 6 inches by 5 inches. That's a bit big for a keychain. So I'm going to select both objects so they downsize together. And I'm just going to go down to like a 4-inch wide keychain. And then with the camper, we'll select both of those, and see, 3 inches high is not bad, but to get 4 inches wide, we're going to need like an 8-inch. So I'm going to go down to 8 inches wide. So our finished keychain will be like 4 inches. And then I'm going to click the Make It button. Here is where Cricut shows our mats. Of course, this first mat is going to be cut out of faux leather. And I think I've changed my mind. I might make my camper one a different color from my name. And then the heat transfer vinyl mat, let's separate those as well. It's important because this is heat transfer vinyl. You need to turn a mirror on so that our image is mirrored and it will transfer correctly onto our keychain. After you're done with that, go back and select mat 1, and then we're going to click continue. If you have a Cricut with a dial, set your dial to custom so you can browse all materials. Once you're on this menu, click the Browse All Materials button. And then I am just going to search leather. And we're going to cut this under faux leather paper thin, and then click done. Now we're ready to load up our mat. So I have my super sticky green mat here. I'm going to take the faux leather and we're going to go leather side down. And I did change my mind. I'm going to do pink for my name, and then I'm going to do my camper in silver. So I'm going to put a silver one down here at the bottom where I had moved the camper down. And we're going to smooth them down and make sure they are stuck well to the mat. And open the Cricut and insert it to cut. Once it's done cutting, I'll show you what to look for to make sure that it cut through all of the way. So now it's finished cutting, and I'm not going to unload my mat. It's still stuck in here, but to test, I want to just lift up a piece and make sure it cut okay, and it looks like it did for both of my leathers. This one, maybe not so much. It looks like it's just that corner. I think I can go ahead and get it with my knife, but if you check before you unload your mat and it doesn't cut through, you can send it back through again to recut, and it will cut along the exact same lines. I'm going to go ahead and unload my mat and get this removed. Yep, it was just that corner for some reason, and it cut almost all the way through, but we can grab that with our scissors. The camper looks good. Well, that side actually went all the way. I'm not sure. Well, maybe. Yep, it did. I didn't even need scissors. It pulled apart. Okay, so now we are ready to heat press. So now we need to change our base material from faux leather to the heat transfer vinyl, and I'm going to browse all materials again and just search for glitter. and come down to where it says glitter iron on, select that and click done. Now we're ready to load up our glitter HTV. If you've never used glitter HTV before, it will depend on the brand you use. This is Caesar brand. HTV comes with a carrier sheet, and some brands show glitter on both sides. So if you're not sure which side is the glitter and which side isn't, or which side is the vinyl and which side is the carrier sheet, just simply grab your weeding tool and poke a corner. If you're on the vinyl side, you'll poke through. For this particular brand of Caesar, the non-glitter side goes up. So this is the carrier sheet with the glitter. This is the vinyl side that we need cut. I'm just going to go ahead and load it on my mat and let it Cricut do its thing. And then I'm also going to preheat my heat press, and we will come back and get our design pressed onto our keychain. Once your HTV is done cutting, go ahead and flip over your mat and remove the vinyl from the mat. Now that we're done with Cricut, I'm going to roll that right out of my way. Bring my heat press up, and I have it set to 305 degrees. That is going to warm up to, and we're going to do it for 10 seconds. So while that is warming up, I can go ahead and weed my HTV, and it's the same thing. Grab your weeding tool, poke at a corner, and just pull it up off of that carrier sheet and remove all the excess vinyl. Then you can come back in with your weeding tool and get any parts of the extra vinyl that were missed. So my heat press is heated up. I have the faux leather set on my heat press mat. I'm just going to take my name and go ahead and get it lined up. Once you have your heat transfer vinyl in place, cover it with your parchment paper, and we're going to press this for 10 seconds. After it's finished pressing, you can go ahead and remove the parchment paper. It will be steamy hot. Let it cool for a few seconds, and then give it a test and peel this back to make sure your vinyl's stuck. That one looks like it did pretty well. I like to cover it after the carrier sheet's off with the parchment paper again and just press it for like 3 to 5 more seconds. Now some faux leather, as it cools down, it might start to curl up and get a little wonky. So it's a good idea to find something. I'm going to put my parchment paper back over it. My phone's not quite big enough. We could actually just slide it under our heat mat here. Find somewhere where you can lay it flat. I've got my camper down there cooling off already. And cover it up. Put some weight on it so the edges don't curl until it's cool. Once your leather is cool to the touch, you can go ahead and bring it back out, and then we are going to glue these two sides together. I am using Aleene's, again, Fabric Fusion. We're just going to give a line all along the outer edges and then fill in the middle with a generous amount of glue. Also a little bit easier to go ahead and get your keychain on here before you glue the two together. So I'm going to slide this through my non-glued side to get him in place. Would have been much smarter to do this before I added the glue, but that's fine. Then we're going to fold the two parts of the faux leather together and get them lined up. Once they're lined up, you now have your keychain. Now a couple of points you can see is kind of coming apart already. One, for Fabric Fusion and any glue you use especially, you definitely want to put this under a book. And for Fabric Fusion, it's going to take 2 to 4 hours to cure before you can use your keychain. And then at that point, you can add your extra fun little stuff to it if you want. The other is much faux leather, has white edges, some has black, some you might get lucky and it'll be the same color as your faux leather. But if you wanted to color in these edges with a Sharpie or even like a fine paintbrush, you can do that as well. So that is how you design and make your very own faux leather keychains. If I had to do it again, I would have made this camper, he's a little big still, like the size of the palm of my hand, and the leather got cut off because I made him too big. I would have done him 3 inches wide, like 6 inches total. But I'm happy with how my name turned out. I think that's cute, and I think that's the perfect size. So if you try this, be sure to let me know. Ask any questions you have in the comments down below, and be sure to like and subscribe for more fun Cricut crafts and tutorials. And don't forget to grab your free SVG files.